Have you ever noticed that some people only seem to remember you when they need something? Not when you're having a bad day. Not when you're stressed. Not when you need help. Only when they need a favor. And somehow, every single time, you end up saying yes. Now here's a question. Have you ever left a conversation feeling completely drained, wondering why you agreed to something you never wanted to do in the first place? Because if you have, you're not alone. And here's another question. What if the reason people keep taking advantage of you has nothing to do with your kindness? What if it's because you've unknowingly taught them that you'll always be available? That thought makes a lot of people uncomfortable, but it also explains almost everything. Most people believe they're being used because they're too nice. But that's not usually the real reason. The real reason is much simpler. People continue behaviors that work. If asking you for favors always works, they'll keep asking. If guilt works, they'll keep using guilt. If pressure works, they'll keep applying pressure. Human behavior follows patterns, and once a pattern is established, most people stop questioning it. That's why today I'm going to show you 7 psychological tricks that stop people from taking advantage of you. Not by making you rude, not by making you cold, but by changing the signals you send to the people around you. Because the truth is this, people treat you based on what they believe they can get away with. And the moment that belief changes, their behavior changes too. The first psychological trick is incredibly simple. Stop answering immediately. Most people never realize how much damage instant answers cause. Someone asks for a favor, and before you've even considered whether you want to do it, the answer comes out. Sure. No problem. I can help. The decision happens automatically, and that's exactly what people become used to. Over time, they stop seeing your help as something valuable. They start expecting it. But the next time someone asks you for something, do something different. Pause, just for a few seconds. Then say, "Let me think about it." That's it. 4 simple words. But psychologically, those words change everything. Because you're no longer reacting. You're deciding. And there's a huge difference between those two things. People who take advantage of others often rely on urgency. They want a quick answer because quick answers leave little room for boundaries. The pause removes that advantage instantly. The second psychological trick is to stop explaining every boundary. This is where many good people make a huge mistake. They say no, but then they immediately start defending the no. I can't because I'm busy. I can't because I have plans. I can't because I'm tired. And suddenly the conversation becomes a negotiation. Now the other person isn't challenging your decision. They're challenging your reason. That's why emotionally strong people do something different. They simply say, "I can't do that." Then they stop talking. No long speech, no detailed explanation, no apology, just a decision. Because confident people understand something important. A boundary doesn't become more valid because it's explained. It's valid because you decided it. And the less you feel the need to defend every choice you make, the more seriously people begin taking those choices. The third psychological trick is one that manipulative people absolutely hate. Make people be direct. Have you ever noticed how some people never actually ask for what they want? Instead, they create guilt. They say things like, "Must be nice having all that free time," or, "I guess I'll figure it out myself," or, "Wow, I thought friends helped each other." Notice what's happening. They're trying to make you feel responsible without actually asking for anything. Because if they ask directly, you can evaluate the request. You can decide whether it's reasonable. You can say yes or no. But guilt is different. Guilt tries to bypass your logic and go straight to your emotions. And that's why it works on so many people, especially kind people, especially people who hate conflict. The next time someone does this, don't defend yourself. Don't explain. Don't apologize. Instead, ask one simple question. What exactly are you asking me to do? Watch what happens. Suddenly, the conversation changes. Now they have to be clear. Now they have to take responsibility for the request. And clarity destroys manipulation faster than almost anything else. Because most emotional pressure survives in vagueness. The moment you force people to be specific, their strategy starts falling apart. The fourth psychological trick is to become comfortable disappointing people. This one is difficult. In fact, for many people, this is the hardest trick on the entire list. Because most good people have a deep need to be liked. They want everyone to be happy. They want everyone to approve of them. They want everyone to think they're helpful and dependable. And there's nothing wrong with that. Until it starts costing you your peace. Think about how many times you've agreed to something simply because you didn't want someone to feel disappointed. You knew you didn't want to do it. You knew it would stress you out. You knew it would take time away from things that mattered. But you said yes anyway. Why? Because their disappointment felt uncomfortable. Here's what emotionally strong people understand. Someone being disappointed in you does not automatically mean you've done something wrong. Sometimes people are disappointed simply because they didn't get what they wanted. That's not your responsibility. The truth is, every healthy boundary disappoints somebody. The moment you stop being available 24 hours a day, someone gets disappointed. The moment you stop saying yes to everything, someone gets disappointed. The moment you start protecting your energy, someone gets disappointed. And that's okay. Because your job is not to keep everyone happy. Your job is to make decisions you can live with. The fifth psychological trick is one that can completely change how you see people. Watch patterns instead of promises. Most people get trapped because they listen too much to words. Someone disappoints them, then apologize. Someone crosses a boundary, then apologizes. Someone uses them, then apologizes. And because the apology sounds sincere, they assume things will change. But then it happens again, and again, and again. At some point, you have to stop listening to promises and start paying attention to patterns. Because patterns tell the truth. A single mistake means very little. Everybody makes mistakes. But repeated behavior tells you exactly who someone is. If someone only contacts you when they need something, that's a pattern. If someone disappears whenever you need support, that's a pattern. If someone repeatedly ignores your boundaries, that's a pattern. And patterns are incredibly difficult to fake. That's why emotionally intelligent people don't judge others by what they say. They judge them by what they consistently do. Because actions reveal priorities, and priorities reveal character. The moment you start paying attention to patterns instead of promises, you'll notice something surprising. Many people will show you exactly who they are. The sixth psychological trick is incredibly powerful because it changes how people see you almost immediately. Stop rewarding bad behavior. Most people don't realize they're teaching others how to treat them. Someone ignores your boundaries. You still make yourself available. Someone only contacts you when they need something. You respond within minutes. Someone repeatedly takes advantage of your kindness. You continue giving them the same level of access. Without realizing it, you're rewarding the exact behavior you want to stop. And human psychology is very simple. Behavior that gets rewarded gets repeated. Think about it. Why would someone change if their actions keep producing the results they want? Why would they respect your time if they always get access to it? Why would they respect your boundaries if crossing them has no consequences? This is why some people spend years complaining about the same individuals while nothing ever changes. Because the behavior keeps working. The next time someone repeatedly treats you like an option, stop treating them like a priority. The next time someone only reaches out when they need something, don't feel obligated to drop everything for them. The next time someone ignores your boundaries, don't pretend it never happened. This isn't punishment. It's feedback. Healthy people understand feedback. Healthy people adjust. And the people who become angry when you set boundaries are often the people who benefited most from you having none. Pay attention to that reaction. It reveals more than their words ever will. The seventh and most important psychological trick is this. Stop believing your value comes from being useful. For many people, this is the root of the entire problem. Somewhere along the way, they learned that their worth depended on what they could do for others. They learned that being needed meant being valuable. So they became the helper, the fixer, the person everyone could rely on. And while there's nothing wrong with helping people, it becomes dangerous when helping becomes your identity. Because then every request feels like a test. Every favor feels like an obligation. Every no feels like failure. And that's exactly how people end up being used. Here's the truth. Your value does not increase when you say yes, and it does not decrease when you say no. Your worth is not measured by how available you are. It's not measured by how many problems you solve. And it's certainly not measured by how much of yourself you're willing to sacrifice for other people. Real confidence begins the moment you understand that. Because once you stop seeing yourself as a resource for everyone else, something incredible happens. You stop chasing approval. You stop fearing disappointment. You stop feeling guilty every time you protect your own peace. And people notice. The way you speak changes. The way you carry yourself changes. The way you make decisions changes. And most importantly, the way people treat you changes. Because confidence sends signals. Boundaries send signals. Self-respect sends signals. And people pick up on those signals faster than you think. At the end of the day, people don't usually take advantage of you because you're too kind. They take advantage of you because they believe your kindness has no limits. The moment those limits appear, everything changes. The moment people realize you're willing to pause before saying yes, willing to be direct, willing to enforce boundaries, willing to disappoint others when necessary, and willing to walk away from one-sided relationships, you become much harder to use. Not because you've become cold, not because you've become selfish, but because you've finally learned the difference between kindness and self-sacrifice. And that difference changes everything. So here's the question. Which of these 7 psychological tricks do you think would make the biggest difference in your life right now? Let me know in the comments below. And if you know someone who constantly gives too much, sacrifices too much, and gets taken for granted because of it, share this video with them. It might be exactly what they need to hear. And remember this. You can be kind without being available to everyone. You can be generous without being used. You can care about people without carrying their responsibilities. And you can say no without feeling guilty. Because protecting your peace is not selfish. Protecting your time is not selfish. Protecting your energy is not selfish. It's self-respect. And the moment you start treating yourself with that respect, other people will too.